My couch surf host bailed on me, so since it's my birthday I decided to treat myself to a little something special, and I got a hotel room with another amazing view. I'm looking out over the cathedral right there in downtown Durango.
According to this sign, I just crossed the Tropic of Cancer. It still looks like I'm in Arizona, though. Doesn't feel tropical, it's cold. 20-foot tall cactus. Pretty neat, huh?
Upon arrival in Zacatecas, I met up with my couchsurfing host, Alfredo. We took a drive up to the top of La Bufa, which is a small mountain overlooking the city with amazing views and a giant statue of General Pancho Villa on horseback. Zacatecas is an old silver mining town, and its former wealth is apparent in all of its downtown architecture. But as impressive as all the old buildings are, the best part for me was meeting Alfredo and his family.
Hola, que tengas muy buen viaje, que te vaya muy bien. Gracias por venir. Y cuando gustes puedes regresar a mi casa. Es tu casa.
Check these guys out. Like a Joshua tree, but bigger.
I arrived in San Luis Potosí and met up with my friend Maria, who I had met on an archaeological dig in Chihuahua a few years back. And we went out to explore the town in style in her 1994 Volkswagen Beetle. Yes, I did say 94. In Mexico, these simple, reliable cars were manufactured up into the year 2004, actually. Downtown San Luis Potosí was lovely, full of old churches and plazas crowded with people despite the fact that it was the middle of the week. There were some neat bronze statues in the plazas, the second of which Maria assured me was not a member of the white supremacy organization. And this guy, of course, is needed to help balance out all the churches, which are, of course, old and spectacularly well appointed, providing a sharp contrast to the world outside, where things are often haphazard and in a state of disrepair.
The highway to Mexico City is crowded! I haven't been doing a lot of filming today, because my world is constantly one blown tire away from an 80-car pileup. I haven't even gone into Mexico City yet, I'm still outside. I think things are gonna get even crazier.
And they did, but I didn't film any of it because I was doing all I could just to avoid getting run over. Martin, my couchsurfing host in Mexico City, is a language teacher, and so I went with him the first night to an English language meetup group. I didn't get to practice my Spanish, but I met a lot of cool people. The next morning found me in the Mexico City bus station. I was about to go see something I've dreamed about seeing for a very long time.
Recording, do you guys want to say hi?
Hola, how's it going?
We're walking down the, hey, there's a another one. We're walking down the Avenue of the Dead, and I found some Australians.
Hi, how's it going? G'day.
So nice.
Date mate.
One of the immutable laws of world travel is that wherever you go, you will always find Australians. In this case, I was extremely fortunate to meet Jason and Sylvia, who were staying in Mexico with their friend Steph. I had an absolute blast kicking around Teotihuacan with them. You may notice the sound of a dog barking in the background at different times during this video. That's just because it's extremely difficult to find a quiet place to do voiceovers in Mexico. Anyway, the first thing we got to see was the Temple of the Plumed Serpent. Then we got to watch Jason crawl through a tiny dark tunnel. Because what else does one do when visiting an ancient and possibly booby-trapped temple?
Behind me here is the third largest pyramid in the world, and we're about to go climb it like a bunch of crazy people. Every other crazy person on the pyramid already.
The pyramid was clearly constructed before the concept of standard tread width was developed, and it was definitely a bit of a hike to the top. But once we were up there, the view was totally worth it.
We're at the top.
It was a little bit overwhelming to think about it. The giant pile of rocks I was standing on was built with nothing but human power. In fact, this whole city was built that way, and it's gigantic. Even after it's in ruins, it's still impressive. But even more interesting to me is the fact that this whole thing is here only because one group of people convinced another group of people that moving rocks into very neat piles for their entire lives was a good idea. And even after all of this, it turns out they had failed to stack their rocks in such a way that would ensure the survival of their civilization.
Where's Steph? Is that her on the steps down there? Oh look, there's our lazy tour guide.
I'm just kidding, Steph. I had a great time with you in the Aussies, and I hope that our paths do cross again someday.
Oh God, what's happening? Terrible. This is not what was it.
The next day I headed up to the Chapultepec Castle, located in a giant park on the southwest side of Mexico City. The whole place was just awash in famous murals and fascinating old things. But after the experience of touring Teotihuacan with my new friends, visiting the museum alone proved a bit dull. I mean, sure, I got a lot of great footage, I just didn't have a lot of fun. And I came to the realization that even though I visited a ton of museums in my travels, the things I remember most are not dusty old things tucked away somewhere where no one can touch them, but the people I meet and the experiences that we share. And so I decided not to spend any more time going to museums alone, and I headed downtown to the Zocalo district, where I promptly encountered the largest number of human beings I have possibly ever seen. It turns out if you go downtown on a Saturday afternoon in a city with something like 25 million inhabitants, then it tends to be a little bit crowded. But of course, if I hadn't, I wouldn't have gotten to stay and listen to this awesome guitarist for a while.
You may notice this church behind me is leaning a little bit. That's because Mexico City was built on top of a giant lake, and lakes are not the best place to build giant heavy stone structures, so this one's slowly sinking into the ground.
Possibly the coolest thing I encountered downtown was this plaza full of people performing traditional pre-Columbian dance. The drumming and the dancing was so intense that the ground was noticeably shaking, and it was absolutely mesmerizing to watch this many people moving in unison. The food here in Mexico is on a completely different level, whether it be small roadside restaurants or curbside stands in the big city. My couch host Martin introduced me to both the best empanadas and best tortas I've ever had in my entire life, and they both came from restaurants that didn't even have walls. He also introduced me to what may possibly have been the best ice cream in Mexico City. Martin and Gerardo, thank you so much for making my stay in Mexico City super awesome. The next night I went out for a few too many drinks with my friend Hare, who I'd met in Paris while I was traveling, so the next morning found us in the market in search of a little something delicious to bring us back to life, of which there was no short supply. My favorite thing that I encountered was a quesadilla made with huitlacoche, which is a flavorful fungus that grows on corn. There were also delicious cheeses and hot, flavorful soups, and by the time it was all over I felt like I ate more than my body weight in things too delicious to describe. Like always, I wish I could stay forever, but again, it's time to move on.
Alright, we're with our Mexican, well actually we're Mexican and here is Nuestro Cabron, Nuestro amigo Cabron. We're really glad from here that he's here, so it's just great.
Thanks so much for letting me hang out with you guys and stay with
Whatever you want.
Yeah, whenever you want. This is your
Good
home.
luck in South America.
Thank you.
Anyway, that's all for now. I'll see you guys next time.